Now for something a little different, we're going to do some common conversions from one unit to another. Sometimes when you do a word problem or any kind of problem, you may be given units that are, for example, in feet and you need to change them to inches. Or you might need to change your minutes to seconds. So we need to know how to perform these common conversions. And these are things that you should probably know off the top of your head. But if you don't, you have a formula sheet. Please refer to it as we go along. Now, if I've got 15 feet and I need to convert it to inches, we're going to follow a process that even if you know what to do with this problem, the process will take you through problems that you are not familiar with how to work. Whatever the measurement is that you're given, we want to take that, we want to make it into a fraction. We want to make it into a fraction and we just want to put the given measurement over 1. So we want to write 15 feet and put that over 1. 1 with no units. Now I want to convert my feet to inches. I know how many inches are in a foot, so I can do that conversion directly. But the way that I want to write it out is I want to write out another fraction. Now, if I want my answer in inches, my second fraction should have inches on top. And I want to compare inches to feet, so feet should go on the bottom. Label the units in your fraction before you put in the numbers. Then put in the numbers as they relate to each other. There are 12 inches in 1 foot. So I want to put 12 next to the inches and 1 next to the feet. Now the reason this works is when I look at fractions, I can cancel things that are common if they're in common, 1 in the numerator, 1 in the denominator. So let's look just at our units. If I've got feet on top, I can cancel that unit with feet on the bottom. That means the only units I have left are inches on top. For that to be my answer, I need the unit I want to be left in the numerator. So if I do the math that's indicated in the problem, my final answer will be in the unit of inches. Fractions, you multiply straight across the top, you multiply straight across the bottom. Anything on the bottom you would divide into the top. My bottom is just a bunch of 1s, so a fraction with a 1 on the bottom is the same as a whole number. If I do 15 times 12, I get 180. So 15 feet converted to inches is 180 inches. Okay, let's try this again. The unit that I'm given is 28 minutes. 28 minutes needs to just go over 1 with no unit. I need to do another fraction that's going to change minutes to seconds. I want seconds to be my answer, so seconds has to go on top and minutes goes on the bottom. Now what is the conversion rate? There are 60 seconds in 1 minute. Check your units before you do the math. Minutes on top will cancel out minutes on the bottom, and the unit I have left is seconds on top. So my answer will be in seconds. Again, if I multiply straight across the top, 28 times 60 is 1680, and there's nothing on the bottom to divide by, because dividing by 1 leaves you the same answer. One more time. I'm given 3 days. I want 3 days to be the top of fraction. no units on the bottom of the given amount. I don't want my answer in days, so days needs to go on the bottom so it'll cancel out. And I want my answer to be in hours, that goes on top. The relationship between hours and days is there are 24 hours in one day. My units cancel out the days, which tells me that my final answer will be in hours if I do the math as indicated. Again, we have a bottom that's just ones. On top we got 3 times 24. That equals 72. So 3 days is the same as 72 hours. Now before you start thinking that every time we do this, we're automatically going to multiply, let's try another conversion with hours and days, but let's go the other way. I have the number of hours. I want to convert it to days. 131 hours is the measurement I'm given. It goes on top. No units on the bottom. We just put it over 1. This time, I want my answer in days. And that means I want my hours to cancel out. The relationship is 1 day is equal to 24 hours. This means when I look at my units, hours will cancel out with hours. Now I would like you to eventually be able to skip this step. But if I multiply straight across, 131 times 1 is 131. 1 times 24 is 24. And my unit is days. Most of the time, we don't want a fractional answer. Do you have any idea how much 1.30 or 131 over 24 days is? I mean, should you pack a bag? I don't know. So we want to round this off to the nearest tenth. Make it a decimal, round it off to the nearest tenth. So we have some idea how many days this is. So if I do 131 divided by 24 and I just do the division, that gives me 5.5 days. $592 minutes over 1. I want my answer in hours, which means I want my minutes to cancel out. The relationship here in the second fraction, 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. Check your units. Minutes will cancel. That'll leave hours as the unit for my answer. Maybe you could see from the problem we did before. Anything on top is going to get divided by what's on the bottom. If you want to write it out, there's nothing wrong with that. If I multiply across the top, I get 592. If I multiply across the bottom, I get 60. If I try to skip that step so I can go straight to my decimal answer, 592 on the bottom, or 592 on the top, gets divided by 60 on the bottom. And when I round that off to tenths, that's going to be 9.7, and my unit is hours. Here we're going to have one of each. So this is a good place for you to pause this recording and try it on your own if you haven't already. And see if you can get this answer. 65 miles goes over 1. I do have a conversion, even if I don't know it off the top of my head. that does tell me the relationship between miles and feet. I want my feet on top because that's the answer that I want. That's the unit I want my answer, and I want miles to cancel out. The conversion is 5,280 feet equals 1 mile. When I do the units, I cancel out the miles. That leaves my answer in feet. If I do the math, on top I have 65 times 5,280. That's going to be 343,200 feet. .408 inches. I put over 1. I want my answer to be in feet. And I want my inches to cancel out. 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. Keep track of your units. My answer is going to be in feet if I do this math. Since I've got a number on the top and a number on the bottom, I want to do division. So 408 divided by 12 turns out to be 34 feet.